Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Today we'll be learning about how to write a speech. Okay, so before we start, let's talk about why or what is the purpose of writing a speech. Okay, as you can see here, the aim or purpose of writing a speech is trying to persuade or convince the audience to accept our point of view or to make the audience agree with what you are saying. Okay, and another purpose is to deliver information to the audience about a particular topic. For example, the lecturer may be talking about a special topic. So this is another aim of writing a speech or giving a speech as well. All right, so let's turn to the next slide. Usually, when we write a speech, we need to pay attention to the language of the speech. Okay, the sentences we should use the mixture of short and longer sentences in our speech. So here are some examples for short and longer sentences. So if the topic is talking about, for example, for Unit 1, question for writing, our topic is asking us to write a speech explaining why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong. So we might use some short or longer sentences as the following. For example, by downloading films illegally, you are guilty of theft. So this is an example of short sentences that you can use for question number 4 of Unit 1. A longer sentence, you can use a sentence like this. By distributing illegal copies of downloaded films, you are guilty of piracy. So the sentences is longer, but of course you can also use a very long sentence, okay, to show the variation. I believe some of you may have been involved in illegal downloading. I must point out to you that this is stealing. So think carefully next time you start downloading films or music on the internet, okay? So this is just an example to make the sentences long when you are writing a speech or giving a speech. Another language that we would like to pay attention when we write a speech is we should try to use different words or use synonyms, okay, to maintain the interest to the audience. So avoid using the same word all the time. For example, sometimes when we use big, we might use huge, smart, we might use intelligent, something like that. Okay, so that's the rule when we write a speech. Try to convey the same meaning with more variety, and our purpose is try to maintain the interest to the audience. Okay, so pay attention to using the synonyms and use various sentence lengths when we write or give a speech. Another element that you need to pay attention to the language of a speech is that we need to address the audience directly by using the pronoun you or we, okay, to engage the audience. Okay, so we need to make the audience feel more involved, okay, so that they are more engaging when they are listening to your speech or when you're writing the speech to them. So here is the basic structure of a speech. When we write a speech, we need to greet your audience. So it can be principal, teachers, or fellow students, or it can be gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so usually we mention the guests in order of their status. Okay, and we also have an opening paragraph. So you need to talk about the topic of the speech at the beginning, what your main topic or main concern is. Okay, so of course you can try to use some creative and interesting introduction to attract the audience attention as well. So that is the opening paragraph to introduce your topic in a attractive way to attract the audience attention. And usually we have the body part. Usually this is not a very good example, because in the body part we usually have 3 paragraphs, okay, to present your ideas or arguments in an organized way. There should be a distinctive 3 to 4 paragraphs, okay, to give your point of view and to support your point of view so that the reader or the listener can agree with what you are saying. So here is your main argument that you are trying to convince your audience about your point of view here. Okay, so this is the body, usually 3 to 4 paragraphs. And at the end, we have a closing paragraph. Okay, so your closing paragraph should be polite. Okay, and usually we need to say thank you at least at the end of the speech. I'm going to talk in a greater detail about the structure of the speech. So this is just the basic highlights of a basic structure of a speech that we need to include those elements. We need to have a greeting, opening paragraph, body with 3 to 4 main ideas with supporting ideas, arguments or counter arguments, or we sometimes might we need to provide some evidence to support your ideas, to support your point of view. Sometimes you can add some counter arguments as well here in the main body. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, there are some, I'm going to talk about some useful expressions in a greater detail. Like in the introduction, in the very beginning, we need to greet the audience. So there are a few variations that you can use. We can say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, principals, teachers, and fellow students if you are talking to the people in our school. Or you can just, if you don't know many people, you can just say good morning or good afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so these are the basic structure or useful expressions for greeting in the very beginning of your speech. For opening paragraph, here are some useful expressions as well. You can say, today I would like to share with you about a certain topic, or today I would like to talk about whatever topic. Today I would like to tell you something about what topic. If your topic is about downloading or sharing copyrighted materials is wrong, just say it, okay? Or I will put the focus on just pick one or two, pick one for your opening paragraph, okay? And you can also, if you really want to attract the attention of your audience, you can use rhetorical questions. For example, you can ask questions like this: have you ever heard of internet piracy? Or you can say, we all like downloading music or films from the internet, don't we? Okay, so we try to say some or ask some questions to attract the audience attention, to arouse their interest, to make them more interested in the topic that you're going to talk about. Of course, the rhetorical questions are limitless. Okay, here are just a few examples, or you can even share your personal experience, or even give a quote in the opening paragraph. Okay, for the body part, because the variation is varies greatly, it depends on the topic. So I'll just write some very basic useful expressions for the body paragraphs just to help you link the ideas coherently. So those are the very basic one, first of all, secondly, thirdly, and etc. Okay, so those are the very basic one. But of course, if we really want to give, because each topic we normally write the body differently. It depends on the topic, so it's difficult to give you a general guideline about how to write the body part with some useful expressions. So those are the basic useful expressions if you want to link the ideas well. So I'm going to give you an exact example with greater detail about how to write Unit 1, Question 4 for our topic about why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong. So I will give you more details with more specific examples, but this is just the basic general useful expressions for bodies, okay? And lastly, for the closing paragraph, here are some useful expressions as well. You can use last but not least, finally, that is all I would like to talk about today, or that's all for now. Thank you. So that is the basic useful expressions for closing paragraph. Okay, so the rule is just to be polite, okay, and make sure that people know this is the end of your speech. Okay, so and usually we end our speech we end where we begin. Okay, so the ideas should link with the topic sentence in the very beginning of the introduction sentence. So let's come back to, let's use an actual example. So the question is taken from, let me take out a pointer. This question is taken from Unit 1, question 4. So we have been given a question and we need to write a speech based on this topic as well. Okay, so the topic or the question is like this. Recently, 6 students from your school were suspended for illegally downloading and distributing films on the internet. And you are the chairperson of the computer club, and your principal has asked you to give a speech to students regarding the incident. So you need to write a speech explaining why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong and what are the possible consequences of violating intellectual property rights. So as you can see, I have helped you highlight the most important part of the question. Okay, this is what's happening, and that is what and the reason why you are asked to write a speech. Okay, and the speech should include the reason why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong and what could be the possible consequences, okay, of violating intellectual property rights. Okay, so to start with, to be more specific, okay, so when we write the introduction, we need to greet your audience. So we can say good morning if it is morning, okay, or good afternoon, principal, teachers, and fellow students. This is how we start. And usually we need to give reasons for the speech. Okay, so you can just rephrase from the topic. Okay, so because we know that there were a few, or you can say several students were suspended from school for illegally downloading and distributing films. So that is the reason for the speech. Okay, and then you should briefly describe what you are going to talk about. What is your main topic? Okay, so given the seriousness of the matter, I would like to talk about the issue of internet piracy today. So you can tell me what you are going to talk about. Okay, you can say that I will start by talking about some examples of internet piracy, and then I will talk about the reason why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong. And lastly, I will talk about some possible consequences of violating intellectual property rights. Okay, so basically this is how you should start your introduction. Okay, of course there are many other methods of introducing, but I think you need to try to include those keywords that is given from the topic. Okay, so of course you can rephrase it in the other way. All right, let's move to the next part of the speech. So which is the body part. In the body part, you should write 3 to 4 paragraphs to support your point of view. Okay, please make sure that each paragraph contains your opinion or points and also with evidence. So basically, minimum you need to have 3 paragraphs, and each paragraph you need to have your own opinion and with evidence as well. Of course, you can include a counter argument as well if you want to. Try to use rhetorical questions if you have some creative questions, or rule of 3. What is rule of 3? Rule of 3, that means at least we need to have 3 paragraphs, 3 different ideas with 3 different evidence to support your opinion or support your ideas. Okay, and some linking words that I have just briefly mentioned. Of course, there are many other linking words that we can use as well to make your arguments more convincing. So to give you a greater detail about what the body part should be like for our question 4 for Unit 1 writing. So paragraph 1, the first opinion can be, you can say that illegal downloading is common. Okay, what are the evidence? Okay, some examples. Why is illegal downloading common? Or you can say, oh, because downloading of films are very common, and the teenagers tend to download films very easily on the internet, and after downloading they tend to share the file, so we have peer-to-peer file sharing. So you can just keep saying in longer sentences, okay, to support your opinions with some evidence, okay. Same for paragraph 2, give another opinion with supporting evidence as well. So you can, another opinion is, you can say that illegal downloading is a theft, okay. This is your opinion because you need to try to convince the audience that downloading and sharing the copyrighted material is wrong. So it is wrong because illegal downloading is a theft. Okay. Of course, you can also add some counter arguments as well. An example is, okay, why can't it be downloaded if it is available online? Okay. So since it's there, I can download it. Why is it a theft? So you need to use some evidence to support your point of view, saying that, okay, so because we can't just steal the DVDs from a shop. You know that there are some DVDs in the shop. You can't just take it without paying. Okay, so you can provide some evidence, okay, to show the audience why your opinion is correct, okay, or you can even write some counter arguments there. Okay, so for paragraph 3, another opinion and evidence, okay, to support why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong. You can say that, or what are the possible consequences. Okay, so you can say that the consequences could be illegal downloading is a serious offense. Okay, it's a serious offense. So why is it a serious offense? Because you are actually depriving the copyright holders um, of reward for their work. So, and you are also discouraging the creativity and innovation of the writers, for example, or the creators of the movies or the music. Okay, so because if you just download the music or download the films without paying, that means the artist, okay, or the creator of the music, they can't get the reward, okay, or get the money for the work that they have done or created, okay, if you don't pay. So usually you are required, if you want to listen to a piece of music, you need to pay for a few dollars online, but that music doesn't belong to you, but you can listen to it, something like that. Okay, so if you are downloading it illegally, it is a serious offense. Okay, so try to use opinions and evidence to support your ideas. Of course, if you want to gain higher marks, as I have mentioned, the body should be 3 to 4 paragraphs. Of course, if you have more ideas, you can add more opinion and evidence to support your ideas as well. So the fourth opinion can be offenders are usually prosecuted. Okay, so that is the consequences of one of the consequences of violating the intellectual property rights. They can be prosecuted, the offenders. Okay, the evidence is because it is a serious crime and penalties usually can be severe. Okay, so try to add some extra or different point of view or ideas and with supporting evidence. Okay, so your main objective is to try to explain why downloading and sharing copyrighted material is wrong, and you also need to mention about some possible consequences of violating the intellectual property rights. So here are some guidelines or examples about how you go into a greater detail for your body part of your speech. Lastly, conclusion, we should summarize your position and points. Okay, you can briefly summarize your points. So you can say that to conclude, to sum up, or in conclusion, choose any of those alternatives. It is morally wrong to download films illegally. Okay, so you can briefly summarize your point. And then you need to thank your audience. Okay, try not to introduce any new points in the conclusion. Okay, so because you have mentioned all the new points in the body part, okay, don't introduce any new points in the conclusion. And we should end where you began. Okay, so for example, you should restate that illegal downloading is unfair to those who have worked to produce a film or a song. Okay, so this is how you can end your speech as well. Okay, or you can urge the audience to respect copyright laws and respect intellectual property rights. So you can say, I hope we all can respect the copyright laws and the intellectual property rights so that nobody at this school will ever commit an act of piracy in the future. Okay, because in the very beginning, the topic says that there were several students from your school were suspended for illegally downloading and distributing films on the internet. So this is how you link and where you began, okay, with the topic given to you in the very beginning. So basically, we have covered the whole structure of how to write a speech, okay, with some details and hints for you to do Unit 1, Question 4. Here are some useful words and phrases that you might like to use as well, such as it can affect the society, guilty of something, and it is morally wrong. People can be punished by laws, or what are the consequences. All those words you can just make good use of them and try to use those phrasal verbs into sentences and link your ideas. Okay, so basically that's all for today's video. I hope you find this video useful. So we have learned about the structure of writing a speech, some useful expressions and the structures, and we have also learned about some useful phrases, okay, about how to write a speech, okay, and of course we have learned about some vocab related to our question 4 as well. So that's all for today, and this is the end of the video. I hope you find it useful. Goodbye for now. Bye.